Hey everybody, welcome to this channel called Myriad of Neglect. My name is Ramon, and thank you for checking out this cool video. I think it's cool, because I've been really out there trying to dispute, argue how important degradable weapons are to the Legend of Zelda open world games. Well, obviously, they didn't take degradable weapons out from the new game coming out, Tears of the Kingdom, and with that coming upon us, um, I thought it would be a good idea to prepare people for really what it's all about, in my opinion. And Zelda Breath of the Wild is one of the best games. A lot of people loved it, but didn't like the weapon breaking, and I understand. But what if I told you if the reason you liked the game was because there was breakable weapons in it, at least part of it, right? And for people who don't like it at all or were too afraid because of that, I understand that too. But let's start this. I'm gonna show you some things, so you get some video of the gameplay, and I'll just talk about it. It won't be too quick, but I see the weapon breaking as a crucial element because it is what drives you through most of the game, to explore, to see what's out there. It's your reward, essentially. Now, it might seem off to say, if I get that reward only to have it break is a good thing. No, it's complicated because these weapons are items. They're not the typical weapon. Forget everything you know about degradable weapons in every other game, such as Elder Scrolls, right? Uh, so you those games, it's really annoying. I don't like weapon breaking in pretty much anything else because that is more about grinding for materials to repair them. Um, you know, trying an artificial way of making the combat harder. But this is different. For example, let me just show you. Let's go into the game here. When you first start out, you put on this plateau. You have this view, of course. The first thing you see is going to be the branch, a weak branch, probably the weakest thing in the game, right? If you go left, you could also see more branches. This is Nintendo simply trying to teach you what you're going to be doing in combat a lot of the time. After you've gone down that hill, you can actually come across another weapon. It looks much nicer. It's an axe. And depending on which way you went, you might have not even gotten a chance to use the branch. But already you have two weapons at your disposal. So after you're presented with the weapons, you got your branch and you got an axe. Presumably you went that way. But whichever way you go, you're gonna find weapons everywhere. These weapons, I call them power-ups. You're gonna be shown that there is a different system in place than what you're used to in Zelda games. In Zelda games, there's pretty much only a few weapons, maybe the basic sword and then the master sword eventually. And in this, you're going to go through them. There's no master sword until much later, and the weapon are you keep using, you start to see that they're degrading, and ultimately they teach you about, you could even being able to even toss them at an enemy. You're going to dispose it as well as do like extra damage. This is literally just ammunition for your repertoire, for your combat. Now let me go up to this enemy, of course, and use up my very weak branch, and then I could just grab my axe and toss. Obviously the branch is gone, and on the one hand, there's plenty more branches I can get, but I have an axe now, and I hope I can use this. Not only is this axe good for breaking stuff, so for destroying enemies better than a branch, but you can obviously cut down the trees. So it really is a versatile weapon. However, You really can't get attached to these things. You really can't get attached to having a weapon. The weapon is an item. It's more an item than anything. It's basically figuring out what your how you're gonna handle each combat from moment to moment. So you shouldn't really be someone who's too obsessed or concerned about min maxing. In Zelda, uh, it's never been about that. It's not an RPG where you get all the best stats. If it were that type of game, you would simply go to the locations you really only need to go to get the most powerful stuff. Um, and this game allows you to, or gives you that incentive to explore. I want to know what's over there. I want to know what's on top of that. On top of that structure. Maybe there is maybe there is a weapon over there that I can grab because I have one axe and no other weapons, and I know it's gonna break. So of course the weapons in Zelda Breath of the Wild and now Tears of the Kingdom, they really continue to be a power up that you can pick up. And in Tears of the Kingdom, they added the extra flavor for to fuse things. I think they did that more so to they found a solution to kind of help appease some of the fans of the game that complained or didn't understand the weapon breaking durability. I don't know anybody who's played this game, Zelda Breath of the Wild, and was always missing weapons or felt underpowered. It really isn't about that. You really are going to just be able to make it through each moment with a challenge, because you're gonna find weapons everywhere. If you have and I can okay, the biggest complaint I can understand about it is in between battles as you're attacking an enemy. Let's say you have like I don't know 3 rusty swords. Those rusty swords aren't gonna last, or if it's just branches, so you're gonna have to constantly switch or abusing your weapon, your swords, or the branch that breaks. Now you're gone through maybe 3 or 4 weapons in one battle, and that could kind of break up the action a little bit. But this is the fundamental aspects of this game. It's really how it works. But the key is not to remain attached to a weapon, um, and also to just have fun exploring and being able to be powered up for a little bit once you have that ancient like glowing like laser swords or weapons that they have in the game. Now, if they took out weapon durability, there would have to be some very meaningful way for them to replace what you're really and what your incentive is really about exploring. Of course, there's a lot they can do. Don't get me wrong, but this is a very smart way to handle your rewards without putting all these burdens on you. Like if it's not about it's not about weakening you like in another game when when your weapon breaks you have to repair it, and you can use that weapon still, but it's very going to be very weak, only for you to have to find x amount of items to basically restore that weapon. It's not about that. It's about making sure that every battle is kind of intense in a way. It keeps you on your toes. It's that moment to moment of exploration, fighting, giving you a reason to fight, giving you a reason to explore, giving you a reason to try all the different weapons. It's wonderful. I mean, I don't know if I'm doing a good job of explaining it. Probably not, but this is my take on weapon durability. Don't forget, the thing that doesn't break is your Sheikah Slate abilities in that game, and in the next game is going to be newer and more um, versatile options you have with that. So it's really, if they wanted to if they really wanted to, I mean, Nintendo is one of the greatest developers out there. They're very smart in what they're doing. They test all these things. I would not be surprised if they knew exactly the exact feeling people were gonna have when they find out that the weapons break, and not just break, but like break almost every every fight. For better or worse. It's actually smart. It's just expanding the options, and ultimately giving us something new in open world games. It's really cool. I'm so glad they did it. And even I at first was kind of bummed, like, what happens if this weapon I just got looks awesome and is like 3 times more powerful than what I just had, but darn it, it's gonna break. I had that moment, and maybe I'll still have that moment when I play the upcoming one. But it just hit me all of a sudden, like one time. I was like, wait a minute, it doesn't matter. I've got too many freaking weapons of the same caliber or better. And when you get the Master Sword, all of that is obsolete. There's no more weapon breaking. This is when they actually kind of degrade it a little bit. But instead of making you use items to power it up again, you're fighting, like, it has to recharge, or you have to fight actual evil, like Ganon, right? I forget how it worked, but it's not like an accident. It's not them trying to find a deliberate way to keep you playing. Um, it's not them making you feel like they couldn't think of a more clever way to give you a challenge. No, I don't believe that. I mean, that's part of maybe that's part of the challenge in itself. Of course, is having to mix things up like that. But um, I think the exploration in Zelda Breath of the Wild is so fun because you are looking for more ways to get stronger with each fight you have. And if you max that out midway through the game, then there's really not much left for you to enjoy. You understand? So I don't know. I hope it makes sense. Um, I just there's not much else I can really say about it. The slate's abilities, you'll be able to get a better way to survive. But you'll have all these weapons to use every time you enter combat, and and then when it breaks, on to the next. So not only does it promote your adventure to explore more in different nooks and crannies, but it's also a way for you to try all the weapons you have again, whether it be a branch, a fork, a pitchfork, or a sword, a rusty sword even. It really is letting you try everything, and enjoying the ongoing switching. And you gotta kind of expect that when I'm exploring, what am I gonna find? What do I care about? You got Korok seeds, there's a myriad of other things you can probably discover, right? But ultimately, it's weapons that is your reward that you get. Sometimes you'll find something that looks really cool and powerful, and yeah, it's gonna break. And at first, it does kind of feel like I don't want to use any of these weapons, and that's what I did. I think that's what everybody does. I'll save it for like a later moment in the boss. But it's you also then start to realize you're just gonna have an overabundance of you know uh, ammo, basically, where you can use the environment too, or items around the environment to take out your enemies. It's so good, and really, I'm just so damn excited for the new Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom, and I just hope that people can really appreciate what they actually did with the weapon breaking. It's really what makes it fun too. For better or worse, again, it's not perfect, but it's one of the coolest ideas they could have done to give you a reason to explore this expansive world. You know, one that appears empty at a glance, but really there's just so much for you, so much rewarding. Just like in Elden Ring. And Elden Ring had those fun exploration moments that you weren't really pushed into necessarily in a direction. And yeah, the weapons in there don't break, but once you got the weapon you wanted in that game, and I love Elden Ring, it's my favorite game of the year when it came out. Once you have that weapon, you kind of don't really use anything else. I stuck with the the winged axe for most of the playthrough, and I think one of those curved swords. Everything else was I just didn't want to try, even though the other stuff was cool. And you'll do that on other playthroughs, but still. And again, I'm not saying this is for every game. It should be used in every open world game, but it works beautifully here. So that's my thesis. Weapon breaking is the fundamental reason we all like Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it is your incentive to explore, and it's really great. It works. Weapons equal power-ups. Weapons equal power-ups. Thank you so much for checking it out. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you disagree, or if you want to add to the conversation, or if you agree. I hope. And you know, I'm open to any criticism. And thank you so much, of course, for checking me out. My name is Ramon, and this was Myriad of Neglect video. You can follow me on twitch.tv/Myriad of Neglect and youtube.com/@Myriad of Neglect. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hopefully, if you did. Or let me know if you didn't. Thank you guys. I need help out here, but take care. Peace, mi gente.